So people might be asking if I'm trying to look like George Galloway. He's a YouTube personality. We see him on RT sometimes. But I just have a Stetson collection of two hats and then a Paul Kaufman original that was made of beaver felt that I lost. And that's kind of my hat history. I was encouraged to wear hats by people I respect. And so, hey, probably wear one all week. So where I left it before, and this is kind of an annex, this is an addendum for a lot of people who've been watching my YouTubes. Once they get to my coiled up jump across the CP Snow chasm into STEM, I allude to Bell and the octet truss, and that's a fade out in the credits because they know to take it from there. That's the familiar ground for them. That's what they already know. But in some other case, you might come across these two videos and think, well, what was he talking about at that point, at the end of the last video? And so this is kind of a, for those who are still curious, kind of video where I explain a little bit more. And I'll do so, I talk about the octet truss, right? So that's kind of what I'm scrolling through here. It's a known term in architecture, and it's something that connects us to many other topics. So it's kind of a grand central station. It takes us to even tensegrity, definitely to jitterbug. And architecture picks up around using the IVM as a sort of a shell. You can make it sort of, you can bend the IVM, the octet truss. You can make it curvilinear. So there's a lot to learn. And so we know this from the humanities side as we come through the portal, so to speak, and enter into the STEM subjects. Like since fifth grade, fourth grade, we've already learned about the 1, 12, 42, 92 number sequence, the cumulative number of balls that represents, the Python computer programs that we did maybe in Codesters, maybe in Scratch. So these are elementary school rememberings that take us at least as far as the octet truss, because that sphere packing we're just looking at, those ball centers occur at the nodes of the octet truss. More than that, you can, have a three-dimensional Pascal's triangle, basically a pyramid. You can do all kinds of stuff with probabilities once you start getting into number sequences and Pascal's triangle in particular. Python generator for creating Pascal's triangle, quite straightforward. Various YouTubes and so on. So this is the kind of thing I have on GitHub for students who are interested in this kind of humanities, right? This is the bridge across. Now we're getting into STEM. And we have some very unique supplies, such as C60 Flextegrity has provided for various pilot classes, Reed College in particular. Other places, I just get to share in field testing situations various aspects of the curriculum. Now I'm looking for more andragogy, like adults, because the XYZ vectors and all that are not taken for granted by kids. They haven't learned even XY yet. So how do we jump to quadrats, right? So when it comes to having the centers of all these CCP spheres be whole numbers, four tuples, no negatives, that whole business, that's kind of high school, right? High school and above. And I can also start using complex Python data structures, such as the pandas data frame. So, and we can use SQL to store polyhedral information. And then in the five-fold symmetrical world, where jitterbug is our bridge from the cuboctahedron to the icosahedron, once you dissect the icosahedron, you're in the realm of S modules and all these other things. And that's where 3D printing might come in. And of course, since we're talking about volume, we're really in spatial geometry in general. It's just we're coming again from a rather unusual angle that if you're just a pure STEM teacher, you may not be used to having students who come with this kind of a background, so you feel like they're kind of aliens, little Martians. But that's okay. It's easy to catch up on what they already know. This math is very not hard. If you're into math, then you will have no trouble picking up the whole number of volumes, we call it. But of course, a lot of the volumes are not whole number. This is the slide you'll want to focus on a little bit. We have a convention for going between the two currencies, you could call them, the volume currencies. There's the cubic inch that you all know about, cubic foot, cubic whatever. And then there's taking edges twice as long by convention, building a tetrahedron. So these we could call R, and we'll call these D. Diameter is 2R. Make a tetrahedron out of D edges, starting with a cube of R edges. And they really have pretty close volume. It's within 6% of each other. The tetrahedron's a tad smaller. But we have an algorithm for computing spatial volume that is strictly tetrahedral. So we'll be fine over here in our little world. You don't have to worry about us, and we'll leave you to your own devices a lot of the time too. But when we need to crisscross and go back and forth, that's not that hard to do. So even little kids in China can learn this. By even little kids, I would say actually even adults can learn this. Little kids have no trouble, because once you got the cute cartoons and it's in Chinese, there's no holding them back. So we're working on it. It's going to take a while before you catch all this on television, but we've got the YouTubes. So come on aboard and see what's happening. Join us in the future.